In the divine realm, Rista was summoned as a goddess to handle some S-class disaster. She picks Seiya Ryuguin, a Japanese hero who has unusually high stats. She immediately summons him and is taken in by his good looks. However, the moment he opens his mouth, she starts to get pissed off. She soon realizes that she forgot to check to see what Seiya's personality was before picking him, which states that he is impossibly cautious. Talking to her senior about this, Ariadoa advises her to be friends with him instead of lording over him like a goddess, and Rista decides to leave Seiya alone to train. A week later, he manages to reach level 15 by doing only basic exercises. When they finally travel to Giabrand, Seiya tries to buy multiple sets of armor and other items. Outside of town, the first monster they encounter is a basic slime, which Seiya defeats, though he goes overboard, burning the entire area with explosions just in case any fragments are still alive. Just then, they are approached by Chaos Machina, a level 66 demon who is one of the 4 heavenly kings. She reveals that she was sent out to scout the area in order to kill Seiya before he could pose a threat. Rista suggests to run away for now, but he had already run away without her. Rista is pissed that he abandoned a goddess. Seiya manages to save Rista from Chaos attack before asking her to open a portal back to the divine realm. Seiya instantly wants to do more training before he can take on Chaos. After 4 days, Rista tries to peep, but instead sees Chaos taking over town and threatens to kill the villagers one by one if they don't show up. Even more so when she takes Nina's dad hostage. Although time in the divine realm moves differently and slowly, Rista tells Seiya this. Unfortunately, he can't go yet. He's not ready. He isn't convinced when she says that even if he dies, he returns to his world, but if those villagers die, they will never come back. The last straw is how Seiya calls Nina's charm a curse. Had he not taken it, they wouldn't have encountered this. Rista feels disappointed in this coward. It doesn't matter how high his stats are, he's just an awful hero. But Seiya replies that if he dies, the town and the world will die. That is why he must prepare himself for this and cannot die. So he is now leveled up many times over and ready to return. Seiya returns and attacks Chaos, but this is only a distraction to free Nina's dad. Seiya fights on par with Chaos. Then she stabs herself to unleash her true demonic and more powerful form. Rista tries to see into his real stats, but he seems to have put a block on it. After forcing her way in, she sees his true stats. 10 times more and has even more skills. She realizes he was putting on fake stats to deceive everyone and was already overpowered after his first training. With that, Seiya easily defeats Chaos. The villagers are happy and grateful to Seiya, but he must do something first. He gathers all of Chaos' remains and then overkills them with Hellfire. He can't risk any cell and make her regenerate. More Hellfire. Finally, Maximum Inferno. The town is now burned to a crisp, and they get kicked out. As they leave, Nina's dad still wants to thank them and gives them his money. Seiya doesn't bat an eyelid when she takes them and asks for more. Nina and her dad are still grateful, though. Rista thinks of heading to the next town, but Seiya wants to return to the divine realm and do more training. After defeating Chaos, the Demon Lord will surely send more powerful enemies. And since Rista can't create better weapons or armor for him and just heal about, he values her the same as a medicinal herb. Rista complains to Ariadoa about Seiya and his training. She admires Ariadoa, who has summoned heroes and saved 300 worlds. However, Ariadoa notes that she has failed one world, and it was her carelessness that failed this easy world. Just then, Seiya barges in to complain that his training isn't increasing his stats anymore. Rista looks happy and suggests defeating a monster. But Seiya turns down the suggestion to fight monsters since it is too risky, so Ariadoa suggests having another god train him. That god will be Cerseus. He thinks Seiya can't stand up to his training. After the first day, Cerseus seems to be holding his ground. On the second day, he looks like he has his doubts. By the third day, he was agitated and almost broken. On the fourth day, he is hiding from Seiya. Cerseus comments, "That guy just won't stop. He is already 3 times stronger than him, and he won't rest until he is 100 times stronger." And then Seiya finds him and drags him back. Cerseus even now hates his sword and throws it away. Suddenly, Ariadoa arrives to tell Rista that she is summoned by Ishtar. She leans toward the idea that Cerseus wasn't born of a god but of a human who reincarnated as one but lost his memory. Ishtar wants Rista to head to the next town in Giabrand and meet some comrades. Rista is about to take Seiya, but he sees him beating up Cerseus. In this town, they learn the undead will invade soon. So Seiya wants to buy 1,000 of holy water. He has to make do with just 10. At the church, the father introduces them to their comrades, Mash and Alulu, who are both dragonkin. Immediately, Seiya pours holy water on the father. He turns into the undead. and then Seiya cuts him up without unsheathing his sword. The father then reveals how Deathmagla, one of the Demon Lord generals, will unleash 10,000 undead tomorrow. Now Seiya will burn him to hell with Hellfire. The historical church is now destroyed too. Seiya pours holy water on the Dragonkin, the sister, and even Rista. Thankfully, they are not undead. Rista scans Mash and Alulu's stats. Not very high, but there is lots of room for improvement. Then Seiya tells them off, he doesn't need them. Mash is insulted that Seiya doesn't need them. Even when the knights offer to help, Seiya doesn't even need them and wants them to instead defend this village while he goes to face the undead himself. Rista what he was mean. But could it be that he is looking out for them? Seiya means a few hundred more allies won't mean a thing to 10,000, and he doesn't want them to die unnecessary deaths. Seiya spots the marching undead. He uses his devastating meteor strike to vaporize them all, and another one just in case. Back in town, Alulu seeks Risti cause Mash has been missing ever since. Heading to Seiya's room, he has created a new platinum sword, but the catalyst he used to create it is Rista's hair. When a mirror is sent to them, they see a tortured Mash in the mirror. It is a message from Deathmagla that he is getting back at them for what they did to his undead army. Now he is bored and will kill him. Mash admits Seiya is the greatest hero he will never match. But in return, he hopes Seiya will save the world in his place. Seiya wants Rista to open a portal back to the Divine Realm. Penny uses his phantom blade that transcends dimensions to cut Deathmagla's hand, despite being in a remote place. Quickly going back into the Divine Realm, Seiya will use Deathmagla's state of confusion to settle things and buy them time before he kills Mash. So Seiya barges into Ishtar's quarters to tell them Deathmagla's whereabouts. Then he has Rista open a portal there, where he will instantly attack Deathmagla while Rista goes to save Mash. All goes as planned until Deathmagla unleashes Dark Furus, a black fire monster created out of many of his experiments. He is so confident that Seiya can't defeat it that he reveals the only way to defeat Dark Furus. Seiya demonstrates it by using his martial arts skills. He can't always rely on his sword, then freezing it with ice despite having no ice magic. He created a bracelet using Rista's hair, as well as many other elemental bracelets, and then finally burning it with his flaming sword. And while Rista takes Mash to safety, Seiya finished Deathmagla. Seiya informs Mash and Alulu and Samel that they would be carrying his luggage. Then Mash offers to drive Seiya to the dragon's den. But Seiya insists on going to the Divine Realm first. There, Alulu is trained by Rista with Hestiaka, the goddess of fire, while Mash is trained by Seiya with Circeus. The goddess of destruction Valkyrie then accidentally runs into Rista. Valkyrie is sent to train him by Seiya, who has noticed her strength. He is rudely confronted by Valkyrie until Ariadoa stops her. She then makes arrangements for him to train with the goddess of war Adenella. Mash has progressed after 3 days of training, whereas Alulu's training has largely failed because of her lack of an aptitude for flame magic. Adenella approaches Seiya as the group is about to leave and asks if she can accompany him. Seiya politely declines her invitation. Finally, they reach the dragon village, where Lagos welcomes them and leads them to meet Levi, the great mother of dragons. Mash watches Levi demonstrate how to turn into a dragon. When Alulu asks Levi to demonstrate the transformation process for her as well, Levi replies that Exasion, a powerful sword, will take her place. Levi explains to the party about a legend that states that the Demon Lord can be defeated using Exasion, which can only be forged when a female dragonkin of human appearance offers her life. When Mash protests, Levi reveals that the Demon Lord's forces control 70% of Giabran. Levi then offers everyone a feast prior to conducting the sacred sword ceremony. Later that night, Rista, Seiya, and Mash are enjoying the feast. When Alulu has second thoughts, Seiya saves her. Levi reveals that she anticipated that this might happen, so she laced their food with a paralytic. However, Seiya counters that he only pretended to eat, explaining why the drug did not work on him. Levi transforms into dragon form and decides to confront Seiya. When she refuses to lift Alulu's curse, Seiya fights Levi head-on. It appears that she is winning until she notices that she is about to fall into the abyss. Feigning her surrender, Levi attempts to kill Seiya. However, he manages to defeat her. Afterwards, Exasion appears. Once the party leaves the village, Seiya admits to Rista that the sword he acquired is not Exasion. They are then confronted by a group of knights. They inform Seiya that a demon named Beelzebub is attacking a fortress that is commanded by Rosalie. Seiya's team flies over there, and it seems Beelzebub and his flying armies are killing the soldiers by dropping them from the sky. This is all a ploy to lure out the hero. It is the only reason the fortress hasn't fallen yet. Once the attack stops, Seiya goes to meet Rosalie, who is glad a hero has come. She brings them back to her fortress to discuss strategy, but Saya, being the cautious one, mentions the possibilities of a demon in disguise and eavesdropping by the enemy. They wasted time searching high and low through the fortress. Nothing. Rosalie gets mad and screws up this strategy meeting. She and Saya should just go straight up and attack Beelzebub. However, Saya wants to return to training at the Divine Realm instead. This leaves Rosalie mad, as she thinks he is abandoning them. Even worse when she learns he just watched and let her men get killed. Rista tries to calm things down but is told off because, as an immortal, she doesn't understand life. But Saya tells Rosalie off that it was her own carelessness that got her men killed since she lacked any strategy. Rosalie is mad, and when she tries to get him, he slaps her. This happens so often that Rosalie's cheek is now swollen. They return to the Divine Realm. In the Divine Realm, Saya wants to learn something that has missiles or guns. Since this world doesn't have that, the closest thing is bows, so Rista introduces her to Midas, the goddess of archery. After that, they see Ariadoa for help, but she offers to help unlock some hidden power inside the Dragonkins. Ariadoa shows Rista that Mash and Ululu have powered up. Mash's dragon hand increases his attack power, while Ululu can slow or hasten things. When Ariadoa learns that Midas is training Saya, she is worried because Midas is a nympho and far worse than Adnella. So Rista makes haste to save Saya. She saw Midas tied up upside down and wants Saya to shoot her down. Saya shoots right at her forehead. After she frees herself, she lustfully attacks Saya and Mash. However, Saya is ultimately able to stop her. Returning to Giabrand, Rosalie has gone off by herself to fight Beelzebub. They see her trying to climb into the fortress, but Saya anticipates this. Rosalie will be the bait for him to shoot Beelzebub, but Rosalie's men greet them. This distraction has Beelzebub capturing Rosalie. Saya also expected this and wants Rista to go distract Beelzebub. Beelzebub is doing this just to lure out Saya and flies higher, outside his shooting range, and above the clouds so he can drop Rosalie. Before he can do it, an arrow misses him. He drops Rosalie, but Rista catches her. Beelzebub believes Saya must be hiding in the clouds and doing his sniping because there is no way a magic arrow could fly this far, even if he is a genius. He dares Saya to show all he's got. Saya fires multiple arrows, which Beelzebub easily dodges. Beelzebub thinks Saya has given away his position when suddenly there is a hole in his stomach. The missed arrows turned into birds that returned to attack him. Beelzebub was defeated. On the ground, Rosalie refuses to thank him, and of course, Saya is a pro at pissing her off. As for the remaining flies, Saya wants Mash and Ululu to show the fruits of their training and destroy them. But Saya killed all the flies with his machine gun arrows. Now he wants Ululu to hasten Mash so he can pick up and gather the corpses for him to burn. After that, Rosalie tells them of a legendary armor they need to defeat the Demon Lord. Saya thinks it is cursed. In this village, where the armor resides, however, the village is being burned down by one of the Demon Lord's generals, Kilkapel the Summoner. He has summoned a demonic turtle beast not to defeat Saya but to eat and destroy the sacred armor. He has been watching Saya's exploits and deeming him a threat. With no legendary sword and armor, his chances of defeating the Demon Lord are slim. Kilkapel kills himself so that he can offer his life and summon a Grim Reaper crossed Thanatos, and its stats are off the mark. Saya can't even beat it. All attacks are futile, and it can clone itself if it is cut in half. Saya has Rista open a portal to the Divine Realm. But even when they reach there safely, Thanatos can transcend dimensions and follow them here. Saya admits he has no plan to defeat this monster. So they run, but Thanatos chases them and destroys all the gods that try to stop them. Saya even uses Adnella to stop it, but apparently the power of love isn't strong enough for her. Saya seems to have a plan, though. He runs to Valkyrie and makes Thanatos destroy her painting. Mad Valkyrie fights the Grim Reaper with all she's got, but nothing works. Thus she unleashes her seal and summons her ultimate Valhalla Gate to finally destroy Thanatos for good. Using her own life force as a catalyst, she starts bleeding everywhere. This is when Saya insists he wants to train with her. She doesn't like it, but she accepts it. Ishtar summons Rista. It seems the last of the generals is making his move on Giabrand. The next day, Rista sees Mash and Ululu leveling up from Ariadoa's training. Vowing to be useful to Saya, she goes to see Saya, only to see them both naked and Valkyrie on top of Saya. Rista is so disappointed, mad, and sad, but they assure her it isn't what it looks like. Rista is going berserk, showing the straw doll she made. Even Valkyrie freaks out and will stop harassing Rista from now on. In the end, Rista believes to Saya. They return to Giabrand as Eraser Kaiser is leading an army to attack the capital. Kaiser calls for their strongest human. Warmaster, who is Rosalie's father, steps up to the task. In one strike, Warmaster destroys Kaiser, and then the rest of his army. Suddenly, Warmaster starts to feel pain. Then he turns into a baby. The party is stunned when they see Wolks turn into a child. Just then, Rosalie arrives and explains to them that her father is under some curse. Afterwards, she tells them to meet her in the Imperial Castle in 2 hours. The party decides to head to town, but Seiya will not allow them to have fun. Once the party is done, they head to the castle. Inside, Rosalie tells them that her father does not have long to live, and she wants them to persuade him not to fight the Demon Lord. Later on, while the party is meeting with Wolks, he receives a message that the Demon Lord's forces are attacking the capital. Seiya takes Mash and Alulu with him while he has Rista stay behind with Wolks. When Wolks shows Rista around the cathedral, he reveals that the Demon Lord created a magical item called Chain Destruction, which is capable of destroying the real souls of gods and heroes. He also reveals that he has joined forces with the Demon Lord. Just as he is about to kill her, Seiya returns. During the fight, Wolks becomes a Demonkin. Wolks appears to have won the fight when he cuts off one of Seiya's arms. However, Seiya uses the counter-break skill to return the same damage to Wolks. Then Seiya uses Phoenix Drive to finish Wolks. Once Wolks is defeated, Seiya has Rista heal them both. He then has Rosalie speak to her father before he dies. 3 days later, Seiya recovers, and he allows the party to have fun. While Rista, Mash, and Alulu are walking around town, Seiya heads off on his own. Rista, Mash, and Alulu spend the day enjoying themselves. When they head back to their hotel room, they notice that Seiya is not there. After realizing he was missing, they headed to Ishtar's house. Finding a distraught Ariadoa, she escorts them to see Ishtar in a hidden room where all the real souls of the gods are located. Ishtar reveals that Seiya went to the Demon Lord's castle alone. She also reveals that, despite his personality and demeanor, Seiya actually cares about them more than he lets on. When Rista questions this, Ishtar shows her that his stats have been maxed out since they were in the Dragon Village, hence why he trained with Valkyrie. She then shows Rista footage from 100 years ago, when Ariadoa previously summoned Seiya to Exphoria. It is shown that he had a party that consisted of himself, Ariadoa, a mage named Colt, and their team healer, Princess Tiana. Back then, Seiya would recklessly fight enemies while unprepared. When they fought the Demon Lord, it appeared that they had killed him. However, he revealed that he had 2 lives. As a result, he was able to kill the party, including Seiya and Princess Tiana's unborn child. After watching the footage, Ishtar reveals to Rista that she is the reincarnation of Princess Tiana, and that the regret Seiya felt after losing her was so strong that after Rista summoned him, he knew instinctively that he had been summoned before and failed. He even found a message he left for himself inside his properties page, hidden behind his fake-out skill, warning himself to always be cautious, even though it might make people hate him, and above all else, to save the world, save his friends, and save the woman he loves. Despite warnings from Ariadoa and Ishtar, Rista insists on finding Seiya and opens a portal to the Demon Lord's castle, taking Mash and Alulu to save their friend. Rista, Mash, and Alulu arrive in the heart of the Demon Lord castle to see Seiya clashing with the Demon Lord himself. Before they can help, however, Seiya unleashes the Gate of Valhalla, the suicidal technique he learned from Valkyrie. Before the doors of the gate can close, the Demon Lord transforms into a larger demon and attempts to break free. Seiya, utilizing another of Valkyrie's skills, thrusts the Demon Lord into the gate with his sword and seals him away. Due to the effects of the Gate of Valhalla, Seiya's life force begins to crumble. Rista demands the full use of her healing ability from the Divine Realm to save Seiya, disregarding the consequences of disobeying the Divine Realm's laws for a second time. With her full strength, Rista manages to heal Seiya's wounds in time. Before they can celebrate, Alulu notices the Gate of Valhalla still hovering above them, and the Demon Lord again bursts through the doors, threatening to destroy the entire world with him. Suddenly, Seiya stands up and calls forth a second Gate of Valhalla that swallows the first one, finally defeating the Demon Lord once and for all. Since the second gate was much stronger, Seiya's life force fades much quicker than Rista is able to heal, so he says his goodbyes to his companions before disappearing with a smile. Sometime later, Mash and Alulu are knighted by Rosalie, and Rista returns to the Divine Realm. She is subsequently summoned by Ishtar to be punished for defying the Divine Realm's laws. She is informed that she will be sent to save an even stronger world where its Demon Lord has already taken over, but without any of her divine healing power, and if she fails, she will be stripped of her divinity. Before Rista can accept, Ishtar reveals that the effects of the chain destruction were lifted when the second Gate of Valhalla was used, meaning all subsequent deaths can be undone. Rista receives the note with her hero's information and cries tears of joy when she sees Seiya's name and extremely cautious nature written on it. Thank you for watching till the end, and please don't forget to subscribe.